Hey, Jesse, so you're a volunteer here at First Refuge Ministries?
Yes, sir.
Well, I heard you had a pretty good day.
It was a wonderful day. It was wonderful.
Well, what made it so well?
So the very first lady that came in that I talked to, she took her in the intake room, and she was wearing a cross necklace, so I already figured that she already heard the gospel. So I asked her, I shared the gospel, and she said yes. And then I said, well, do you mind if I share my testimony with you? And she said, absolutely. So I just started telling her my testimony, and then I asked her, I said, do you have a relationship like that? And she looked at me and she said, no. And I said, well, do you want a relationship? And she said, absolutely. And so shared what it meant to be a Christian, and she said, I want that relationship. And so we prayed today for her to receive Christ, and so that's what we did.
Well, that's an awesome day, but your day didn't end there, did it?
No, it didn't. Actually, the very next lady that came in, she was wearing a cross necklace as well, and so I figured that she already heard the gospel, so I started talking to her and asked her about the gospel, and she said that her dad was a pastor, and so she's heard the gospel several times. Well, I asked her, could I share my testimony with her, and she said absolutely. And so I shared my testimony, and I started looking at her, and she starts tearing up, and I asked her, I said, do you have a relationship with Christ? And she said, no. And I said, do you know if you die today, do you know if you're going to heaven? And she looked at me and she said, no. And she told me, that's been eating me up inside these last few weeks. And I said, sounds like to me God has been drawing you to Him. And are you ready to accept Christ? And she said, yes. So that's what we did. We prayed to accept Christ in our heart.
So what would you say to someone else who maybe wants to share the gospel? Would you say that First Refuge would be a good place to volunteer?
Yes, I would say First Refuge would be a great place. They meet the physical needs of people, but also the spiritual needs in the intake room.